Zhong Xing took out the antidote and gave it to Xiaoqie. Xiaoqie woke up, but Zhong Xing immediately restrained his acupoints. Li Mimi shouted, "Xiao Biao, your friend has woken up, and you don't need to send it in to show you, just ask him." She also thought that Xiaoxie might rush out when the stone door opened, so she didn't want to send Xiaoqie in, so that Xiaoxie had a chance, but poor Xiaoxie didn't have a series of plans. Xiaoxie thought to himself, it seems that this trick will not work. No matter him, as long as Xiaoqie does not die, there will be many chances. He cried out, "Xiaoqie, are you awake?" Although Xiaoqie knew that he had planted a big rib, he was powerless to resist, and he shouted, "Younger evil Wu I can't say anything else." Xiaoye knew that Xiaoqie had woken up but was ordered again. He smiled and said, "Listen, old ghost, first order Kukuan, then order Kongmen, Shenfeng, Qingling, and finally point to Tian to a cup ointment, which can be restored after a right time." Zhong Xing followed the acupuncture points, and after 1 o'clock, Li Mimi was able to get up and move, but her strength was very weak, and she needed a right time to restore the acupoints. Li Mimi was bent and giggled and said, "Yang Xiaoxie, thank you. You can go to Uncle Yan's place to tell the situation. Your brother, I have detoxified him, won't I give him another dose?" She stuffed the poison into Xiaoqie's mouth again, and smiled proudly. Xiaoxie said angrily when he heard this, old pious woman, you are the most vicious in the world. Wait a minute, you will know how powerful I am." In fact, how could Xiaoxie not think of this kind of small problem? His meticulous mind is rare in the world. His first purpose is to detoxify Xiaoqie, and then he wants to deceive the stone gate, but one of them fails. He has carried out a second plan. He must unlock the acupoints for Li Mimi, and he must also extend Xiaoqie's life. He has done both of them. Xiaoqie has 12 hours left to live, but once the poison is solved, and then the poison is taken, it will invisibly become 36 hours. This is the time that Xiaoxie needs, and Xiaoxie thinks that if he can't rush out after these hours, it will be almost the same. And he untied Li Mimi's A-cup ointment in order to put it to death and be reborn, because as soon as Li Mimi's A-cup ointment is solved, she will kill Xiaoxie, and only poison gas can be used in the stone room. But Xiaoxie is not afraid of ordinary poison gas. He just wants Li Mimi to release poison gas, and then pretend to be dead, and then wait for the stone door to open, and then rush out, and then... It's all of these that don't work. Xiaoxie still has a way. For example, the last time the Ghost King Ji Sangziao was an example. As long as it is a human being, there are weaknesses and advantages, and both of these are magic weapons that Xiaoxie can use. Li Mimi is his opponent. Li Mimi smiled, "Yang Xiaoxie, you will know who is powerful in a moment." She walked to the left wall and laughed. She said, "This is the 9 poisons blood dispersion. As long as you smell a little, you will immediately have 7 orifices to bleed and scratch your skin and die. You can enjoy it, haha." She laughed so hard that her chest trembled, and she was charming, and she returned to her previous lewd image. Suddenly, there was a small evil scream and a loud bang. "Ah! Let me out! Help me! Help me! Let me! Put!" The sound changed from the previous cry of a wounded bird, to weaker and weaker, from large to small, from loud and angry to a soft gasp of the swimmer. Eventually, everything stopped. There are already many martial arts masters who have planted in his tricks, and this time is no exception. His deliberate pretentiousness and superb acting skills have made the enemy believe that the real Yang Xiaoxie has been poisoned to death. She was very confident in her poison, coupled with the screams of Xiaoye. She thought that Xiaoye was dead, and after half an hour she said happily to Zhong, "I'm glad you came, otherwise I wouldn't have survived, come hurt me." She twisted her waist and swung her hips again in a reverie-all motion. Zhong Xing smiled lewdly, his eyes showed greed. He picked her up and kissed her non-stop. "Mimi, you just don't want to ask you to move to me, now that you are being bullied, you know how important I am, haha." As he spoke, he carried her to bed and tried his best to dispel his soul. Li Mimi giggled and shouted, "Don't worry, my injuries still have to be medicated, otherwise how can I wait for you? And I don't look at that kid's body, I don't feel at ease. That kid is very evil, and there are always some unexpected strange things happening to him, so I fell in love with him, let's go see him together." Okay, she was very sure. But when she thought of all the strange things about the little evil, she couldn't help but feel a little nervous, and doubted her poison. Zhong Xing's heart was a little reluctant, but he didn't want to brush away her request in front of him. He shouted, "Do you still need to see this?" You didn't hear his screams. Besides, your 9 poisons blood scatter has never missed, why don't you even have this confidence this time? Happy Li Mimi kissed him and said coquettishly, People are still a little worried. You just rely on me this time, okay?" Chung Kaixin laughed and said, "Okay, of course, since you don't worry, I'll open the door for you to see, okay?" Haha. He picked up Li Mimi, and from time to time walked to the hole with hairy hands and feet. Death. What are the monkeys anxious about? Hee. Li Mimi also laughed and scolded from time to time, what a couple. As soon as he found that there were footsteps, he secretly said with joy in his heart, "No matter how big you are, you can't help my life as a natural emperor." Poked 2 little finger holes to stabilize his body, he wanted to rush down from above. It was more effective than rushing head-on, and it was also more effective in receiving assault effects. This is where Xiaoxie was more successful, as long as there was something that helped to complete a thing, no matter how big or small, if he knew or thought about it, he would definitely do it, and often victory was in these insignificant keys. Li Mimi found a button in the hole, pressed her hand and said with a smile, "It's okay to be happy, be careful just in case." Chung shouted wildly, "Why bother with the children, look at me." He had already carried Li Mimi to the stone room, looking like he didn't care. At this time, they were already facing the stone gate, and both of them used their skills to prevent the little evil from attacking, and they were slightly relieved, and Li Mimi had slowly pushed the stone gate open like a thief pickpocketing. Little by little, inch by inch, gently, softly, a thin crack has cracked in the stone door. 10th. 2 out of 10. 3rd. Until it was a foot wide, Li Mimi cautiously probed in, trying to search for the body of the little evil. Zhong Xing didn't put Li Mimi down, he still held on, but he also leaned sideways and looked inside curiously. When ordinary people explore the house, it is natural to look forward, not to look above their heads first, which is a rule that is not subject to it. It's a shame that Xiaoxie can use this, no wonder he is invincible. Just when Li Mimi's head surged forward and was about to turn to the left, the little evil shouted, like a flash of light in the night, with Mount Tai pressing the top, the sky and the earth cracked, the volcano erupted, and the river burst into the embankment. He had already stepped down and stepped Li Mimi on the ground, and the dagger poked at Cheng's chest like a snake, fast, so fast that it made people feel like a phantom, so fast that it made people feel that there was no such thing. Wow! Li Mimi was trampled on the ground on the spot, lying on the ground with a heavy injury and vomiting blood. Her face was blue, and she was extremely embarrassed, and Zhong Keixin was also caught off guard and stabbed straight through the sternum. Fortunately he was holding Li Mimi. This pull and pull has escaped the fate of a knife through the heart, and the others have retreated under the shock. Worthy of being a martial arts master, the soul is shocked, and he is angry, and the unique trick cloud-piercing hand has attacked the abdomen of the little evil. Xiaoxie didn't want to fight, so he succeeded in the surprise attack, twisted his waist violently and kicked his legs and rushed to Xiaoxie's body, stretched out his hand and ran out of the cave, but his slow Zhong was happy. Escape there! Zhong Kai's mind and body swept towards the little evil like a wild wind. Mother's Bazi, you dare to plot against the old man, you don't want to live. As soon as the voice fell, a strong wind attacked, and his right hand was like a golden pestle to drill into the heart of the little evil, and he was angry and angry.